Coming up on The World today, at least 40 people killed as two trains collide in Pakistan. Nigeria explains the country's Twitter ban to the diplomatic community. Plus, Canadians call for government action over residential school system in massive march. Well, thanks for joining us on the program. I'm Amarachi Ubani. At least 40 people have been killed, at least after two passenger trains collided in southern Pakistan. Dozens of people were injured in the accident. Rescue teams have taken the injured to nearby hospitals, and it is thought that several are in critical condition. The accident in the Gotki district of the southern Sindh province occurred after the coaches of one train, the Milyat Express, derailed and fell across the opposite track where they were hit by another train, the Sar Syed Express. Specialist equipment has been brought in to help to rescue those trapped in the tangled wreckage. A senior official in the district says it is not known how many people were still trapped in the train. Prime Minister Imran Khan says he is shocked by the accident and has promised a full inquiry. Minister for Information Fawad Chaudhry said that more than 100 people were injured and it was feared the death toll would rise. Relatives of passengers who were on board head to hospitals frantically searching for information about their family members. Railway accidents are not uncommon in Pakistan, often caused by derailments and collisions at unmanned railway crossings. The railways are an essential mode of travel, especially among middle and income group countries, with tracks spanning the length and breadth of Pakistan. However, carriages are often overcrowded and many of the trains are in poor condition. Here in Nigeria, the federal government says it would restore Twitter operations in the country if the platform will be used responsibly by citizens. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jeffrey Onyema, relayed this condition at a meeting with 5 envoys from the US, the UK, Canada, the European Union delegation and the Republic of Ireland, where they issued a joint statement condemning the indefinite suspension of the platform in Nigeria. The minister added there is no definite time for lifting the ban.
We want to use social media for good. There's a lot of good that can come out of this communication revolution that we have in the world today. For a lot of very, very good things. And we want, as much as possible as a government, that these platforms and these media should be used for good. And I think that part of the conversations with them will be really towards how to get them really as forces for good, global good. Conditions, the basic condition is really responsible communication. You know, we know the power of words, you know, and power of words for good and power of words for bad. And we really, our condition is really that these, you know, when you have that kind of power to manage and facilitate the communication of billions of people around the world, it has to come with responsibilities. Absolutely has to come with responsibilities. And so we want to, if the conditions would be responsible use of media.
We're in Mali now, where the opposition leader Chogwell Mayiga has been named the country's transitional prime minister. It comes hours after junta leader Colonel Assimi Goïta was sworn in as president. Mayiga was declared by the interim general secretary of the president of the Republic Badra Alu Coulibaly. It comes on the same day Colonel Goïta was sworn in as president. The Malian colonel who has overthrown two presidents in the past 9 months, had already been declared president by the Constitutional Court last month after ousting Ba Ndo. He's under pressure now from regional and international powers to ensure elections go ahead next February as scheduled, but his advisors have suggested that the timetable could change. Today, however, he promised to oversee a transition towards democratic elections in Mali. He's also pledged his commitment to implementing the actions necessary for the success of the transition, notably the organization of credible, fair, and transparent elections that are held as scheduled. To politics in Israel, the Knesset Speaker Yariv Levin says a vote in the country's legislature on approving a new government poised to unseat Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be held within a week. Naftali Bennett, the nationalist politician who would replace Israel's longest-serving leader, called on Netanyahu on Sunday to let go and drop any efforts to encourage defections from the new coalition that could scupper its inauguration. Bennett urged Knesset Speaker Levin, Netanyahu loyalists, not to delay and to hold the confidence vote this Wednesday so that the government of left-wing, rightist, centrist and Arab parties can be sworn in. In a formal announcement to Parliament, Levin noted that opposition leader Yair Lapid had informed him and Israel's president that a coalition had been agreed and said that under a time frame set by law, a vote to approve it will be held by June 14. Lawyer to Myanmar's ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi says court proceedings in the first criminal cases involving her are set to finish late next month. Kin Mauzol says the prosecution has until June 28 to conclude its case, while the defense has until July 26th, and hearings will take place every Monday and Tuesday. The 75-year-old Suu Kyi, who has been at an undisclosed location, appeared at a hearing today and was in good health. She's among more than 4,000 people arrested since the coup on February 1st.
The case is to, the prosecution side has to close his case on 28 June 2021. And after that, the defense side will close its case on 26 July 2021. Every week, Monday, and every week, Tuesday. 3 cases are to be heard, examine the witnesses every Monday, and 2 cases are to be witnessed every Tuesday, like this.
Well, staying with political figures in prison, jailed Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny has been returned to the original correctional facility where he had been serving out a sentence after he recovered from a hunger strike at a hospital in a different prison. The 45-year-old opposition politician had declared a hunger strike in late March to demand better medical care in prison. After experiencing acute leg and back pain, he halted his hunger strike in April after receiving medical attention. In a video shown by TV Ray Media, Navalny appeared in court via video link, thanking the courts and prison authorities for providing him with literature. He is serving a 2.5-year jail term for parole violations related to an embezzlement conviction that he says were trumped up. Thousands of Canadians took to the streets on Sunday calling for more government action into the residential school system after the remains of 215 children were discovered last month at the Kamloops Indian Residential School. Demonstrators chanted, they sang, donned indigenous dress and danced through the streets of Toronto, waving signs and demanding action. The discovery last month at the Kamloops Indian Residential School in British Columbia, which closed in 1978, reopened old wounds in Canada about the lack of information and accountability around the residential school system, which forcibly separated Indigenous children from their families. The system, which operated between 1831 and 1996, forcibly separated about 150,000 Indigenous children from their homes, with many subjected to abuse, to rape, and to malnutrition. Many of those schools were run by the Catholic Church on behalf of the government.
Million doses of... When I went to the Vatican a number of years ago, I directly asked His Holiness Pope Francis to move forward on apologizing, on asking for forgiveness, on restitution, on making these records available, and we're still seeing resistance.
So those protesters also tore down a statue of Egerton Ryerson, one of the architects of the residential school system at the Toronto University, named after him. Let's walk over to Canada's neighbours, the United States, where former President Donald Trump on Saturday appeared to dangle a possible run himself for president in 2024, saying he was looking forward to that year. Speaking in Greenville, North Carolina, at the state's Republican Party convention, former President Trump's speech had all the hallmarks of his signature campaign rallies. North Carolina Republican Party chairman Michael Whatley introduced Trump as our president, which is a nod to the former president's baseless claims that the 2020 election was stolen from him through voter fraud, which Trump called the crime of the century. Trump vowed to help Republicans in 2022 congressional elections and endorsed U.S. Representative Ted Budd for a U.S. Senate seat in North Carolina after his daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, said she would not run.
And a lot of you don't know him that well, but you're going to know him probably. And with the spirit and energy and commitment of everyone in this room and the voters all across this state, 2022 is going to be a banner year for North Carolina Republicans. And we're going to lay the groundwork for making sure that Republicans once again carry the great state of North Carolina in a year that I look very much forward to, 2024. We're going to do numbers like you've never seen before.
We'll have more on the former president's political ambitions for 2024 as we speak to our correspondent Maria Bird. Plus, you want to stay for this one, Britain's happy and quite indifferent at Harry and Meghan's baby announcement. Stay with us. Welcome back to The World Today. And just before the break, we looked at former U.S. President Donald Trump announcing he might be coming back in 2024 as America's president, should he win the election, that is. Our correspondent in Washington, D.C., Maria Bird, joins us now. Maria, a former president is doing it again, raising hopes of supporters that he may or may not run in 2024. Why is he still doing this?
Rachi, thank you for having me. You're exactly correct. In North Carolina this past weekend, he was very clear that he is looking to come back in 2024. We know the Republican Party, the GOP, has drastically changed over the last 3 to 4 years. And so he's hopeful that he is able to come in again and to lead the party. And there are many supporters of his, as we've seen. And so it is clear that he has no idea that he is not going to run. He is very much pushing forward and looking to run in 2024. I think he feels that there's work that he has not finished. And I think that he was determined to have 2 terms. And so he's looking for 2024 to be that opportunity.
And in light of the political and the social developments going on in the country, first of all, the Capitol riots of January 6th and the Black Lives Movement, Black Lives Matter movements going on in America and across the world. How are Americans reacting to the possibility of a Trump return?
I think that many Americans, especially those that are supporters of the current Biden administration, and I must say that there are many that were a bit skeptical of the administration and I think are now very much in support of the current administration, that don't really see this as being something that could potentially happen. But I think that Americans need to be very clear as to what's happening in the GOP. I think that they're underestimating what's happening, especially as we look at some of the very diverse opinions. You can very much see Liz Cheney, who has definitely been put on the outside, and she is kind of what you would call the old guard of the GOP thought process. And so I think Americans believe that that division within the party will not allow the party to see success in 2024. But just as they did in years past, they are able to galvanize and to bring out many individuals that are not frequent voters, and the new Republicans that are younger, that are 18, 19, that did not vote in 2020 or did not vote in 2016 even. And so I think that the American public is going to really begin to see over the next year, especially as we enter into the midterm elections in 2022.
We also hear that former Vice President Mike Pence might also be running for president in 2024. Do you think that the GOP would want to pitch these two against each other?
Well, Mike Pence is putting forth a very interesting argument. He is stating that he is very proud of what him and former President Trump did during the administration. So he obviously is going to reach those Trump supporters. But he is also stating that the January 6th attacks were a dark day in America. And so for those Republicans that also agree with that and are of what some would consider the old guard, might be focusing in and supporting Pence. And so he might be straddling a line that would allow him to be a potential candidate for the GOP. But I think we still have some time to go, and the 2022 midterm elections are going to be really give us some insight as to the direction of the GOP and the direction of America as a whole.
I guess no dull moment for American politics. Maria, thanks again for speaking with us.
Thank you for having me.
U.S. drug firm Moderna says it has asked the EU and the Canadian health regulators to authorize use of its vaccine in adolescents. Moderna says its COVID vaccine is highly effective in those in that age group. The use of the Pfizer vaccine for adolescents has already been authorized in the U.S., the UK, and the European Union. Here's a global update.
Thailand has kicked off its mass vaccinations across the country today, and vaccines have been delivered to provinces hardest hit by the virus. Bangkok, the epicenter of a deadly third wave, will see the most jabs administered. The majority being inoculated are receiving Sinovac vaccine, either purchased from or donated by China. Locals and tourists have enjoyed a carefree lunch by Venice's Grand Canal today as the surrounding regions became a white zone, easing restrictions and ditching a curfew with only masks and social distancing required. A curfew has been in place since October, while the country was split into different colored regions with varying rules as part of efforts to stem coronavirus contagion. As cases and deaths continue to decline and more people are vaccinated, regions have been turning white week by week. Germany has stopped restricting coronavirus vaccines to more vulnerable groups from today, paving the way for the entire adult population to get free immunizations as announced last month. Vaccine supplies remain scarce, however, and an official at a Cologne vaccination center in Germany's most populous state said the regional health ministry has not approved any further first vaccination appointments for the moment. Finally, the Indian capital of New Delhi today partially reopened after almost 2 months of lockdown. The city announced on Sunday that restrictions on transport, markets and other economic activities will be eased from today after a 7-week lockdown was imposed to curb the spread of coronavirus. Delhi was hit the hardest by the virus in the second wave of the pandemic in India.
In the meantime, a senior World Health Organization official says talks are being held with G20 countries, including China and India, regarding financial and COVID-19 vaccine donations to the COVAX dose sharing facility. Bruce Aylward is senior advisor to the WHO Director General and the agency's coordinator of the ACT Accelerator. He says the WHO wants the United States, the European Union member states, Britain, Canada and Japan to contribute doses, and a proposal submitted by the EU to the World Trade Organization would help widen COVID-19 vaccine access, said they did not go far enough, and a waiver of patent rights would add value.
We're not restricting our gaze to the G7. We're looking across everyone who is either producing doses or contracting doses. So the G20, absolutely crucial. India, China, we're having lots of discussion about them, about what they can do in terms of both releasing supply as well as donating supply even. We're also, as well as all the other players across many EU member states as well, and we're working with the Commission on that. We are also talking to other producers. People often ask us about Russia, and what we're doing there is really working hard to try and ensure that they accelerate the process of looking at emergency use listing of that product. So we're looking right across the full spectrum. We look at everyone who's holding contracts that are in excess of the volumes that would be required to get to the population coverage levels that they've announced for their population. So yes, be assured we are leaving no stone or G20 member unturned in this pursuit.
And as we end the program, it is interesting to hear what London residents think of the news of the arrival of Prince Harry and Meghan's second child. One of them saying that her name is a nice tribute to the Queen, while another thinks it's weird. Meghan, Britain's Duchess of Sussex, and her husband Harry both named their daughter after Queen Elizabeth and his late mother, Princess Diana. Lilibet Lily Diana Mountbatten Windsor was born on Friday, June 4th, at the Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital in California, with Harry in attendance. The couple's first child, Archie, as we remember, was born in 2019.
It was not a surprise. It has been on its way. And then to call it Lilibet was a nice tribute to the Queen. But there's probably a long way to get it back into good books, I would think. Not just calling Lilibet won't do it all in one go.
Yeah, well, I'm happy for them. That's a newborn. Always happy for newborns. The only thing is like, yeah, it's a name. Because I was thinking they will just want to, after everything that happened recently, I was like, they're just gonna, cut completely with them, their families, but their families from another country. Not choosing such a meaningful name. Like, everybody knows what Lily means, or Lilibet, or whatever. Just like, everybody knows, you know what I mean? It was weird to me.
It's kind of old-fashioned though, it's not very modern. But no, it's nice, it's very cute. But yeah, I wish them all the best, but I don't feel they've made a big deal out of it. It was very quick. When I heard it on the news today, it was very quick. It was very, oh, they've had a baby, and that was the end of that, so yeah.
Wow. Well, she does have a name, tribute to the Queen and to the late Princess Diana. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi.